If you find yourself in need of legal representation, it can be a very stressful time in your life. In my career, I have dealt with thousands of lawyers, I've dealt with thousands of law firms, and I can confidently recommend to you Keith M. Davidson at kmdlaw.com. Available 24 hours, 7 days a week. Just log into kmdlaw.com. That's kmdlaw.com. Or you can call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. That's 833-4KMD-LAW. Personal injury, wrongful death, STDs, sexual assault, car accidents. They handle it all efficiently and professionally. It doesn't matter how imposing the opposition may be, because the team at kmdlaw.com are battle-tested and fierce. They will not stop until justice prevails. Go to kmdlaw.com or call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. If you're in for the fight of your life, stop screwing around and contact KMD Law.
Before Epstein was the Franklin cover-up. Before that, the Finders. And long before that, the Cleveland Street Scandal. Pedogate Primer is a concise intro and overview of a growing child abuse epidemic worldwide. It features shocking instances of institutionalized and organizational pedophilia throughout history. Churches, cults, the world of arts and entertainment, the government, NGOs, charities, and major corporations are all complicit or culprits in many instances. Pedogate Primer delves into material that for many may seem like the stuff of conspiracy theories. For this reason, the book draws on academic resources, declassified documents, and other reliable sources, and steers clear of conjecture. Such shocking true stories need no embellishment.
Emailrevealer.com. People ask me all the time, hey Ed, are you still a private investigator? I sure am. Go to emailrevealer.com. We handle adoption investigations, infidelity investigations, where you give us your spouse's email address. We trace it back to online dating websites, catch them cheating online. Email tracing, locate or identify somebody from as little as an anonymous email address. Someone owe you money? Back child support? We can find that deadbeat, locate his hidden assets, locate his hidden bank accounts, find his current place of employment, and even assist you in obtaining a judgment and recover that judgment for you. Emailrevealer.com. Digital forensics, computer forensics, cell phone forensics, recover deleted text messages. Create a report that you can use in court. Emailrevealer.com, 800-572-9762. The Opperman Report is brought to you by Aquadam.net. You can give them a call at 707-764-2119. A flooded home is never easy to deal with. You're left with the mess to clean up, the insurance companies to deal with, and not to mention all the memories, the precious memories that are lost in the flood. You can never replace those. And Aquadam can be a tool in your arsenal to protect your home and property from the floodwaters. The cofferdam is filled with water to control water and is reusable as long as it's taken care of. It can protect your home or business from rising floodwaters like a dam, but without the beavers. It can also be used in construction. If you need an area to be dewatered, an Aquadam can do the job. An Aquadam was used at SeaWorld in Orlando for the Mako roller coaster ride during the coaster's construction by dewatering the work area. An Aquadam is now dewatering the work area at San Antonio SeaWorld for their newest roller coaster ride. An Aquadam has been used in many construction projects all around the U.S. and all around the world. Now give Aquadam a call, 707-764-2119. You can look them up online at aquadam.net. You can find them on Facebook at Aquadam Inc. You call them up, you email them, you tell them Ed Opperman sent you, and they're going to take 10% off the price. Aquadam.net, 707-764-2119.
It's the Opperman Report. Join digital forensic investigator and PI Ed Opperman for an in-depth discussion of conspiracy theories, strategy of New World Order resistance, high-profile court cases in the news, and interviews with expert guests and authors on these topics and more. It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay, all right, welcome to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, private investigator Ed Opperman. You can, if you want to get a hold of me for some PI work, right, you can find me through Opperman Investigations and Digital Forensic Consulting via my website, emailrevealer.com. By the way, I'm having trouble logging into it, so email me directly at oppermaninvestigations@gmail.com. For some reason, I can't log into the email account. Or maybe because all the hackers attacking me all the time. Maybe that's it. Anyway. If you like our show, check out our Patreon. I put up 8 hours of new content each week. I'm going to be putting up a ton of new content this weekend. Because, I forgot last weekend to put it on, let's be honest. Okay. I got busy, had another road trip. My arm is like a freaking disaster at this point. Oh my God, it's disgusting. It's just like atrophying off my body. Because I had to move, boxes and packages to move Vic out of DC. Hey, so anyway, arm's a mess. So I haven't gotten to Patreon too much this week. I've been busting my butt on other things. But we got a bunch of shows that we can put up there ad-free that have been playing on AM/FM radio all week long. So we got that going on for you. And, of course, our Spreaker channel is always free. That's how you hear this show. If you go to Spreaker and you follow us there, there's a chat room. You get an email notification anytime we put up brand new content on this live Friday show. I tell you, it's getting so hard to do this. I got up today at 4 o'clock in the morning. I happen to have a listener. I was chatting with her on on Facebook, right, yesterday. And then when I woke up this morning to get up, my phone was there, and I accidentally hit that little thumbs up in the chat. So she says, "Oh my God, you're just getting up now to start. You get up this early?" And I said, "Yeah, I get up this early every day, man. I work, man. I work. I don't know. I can't complain. We get a lot done." And for instance, we got something done this week, something we could be proud of. Okay, remember Gordon Woods? We had him on the show. He was involved with the Celtic soccer club or football club, something like Celtic Boys Club. It was called. So Gordon Woods, we met him through that whole crew with Jim Kerr, and was it Steve Kerr, who was the one who was abused by Roy Cohen in Ireland. I think it's Richard Kerr. Oh boy, so anyway, we met Gordon Woods through him and other people we met through Jim Kerr and others. This little Ireland group and England group of survivors. And, he doesn't do a lot of interviews. We had him on the show. And, I tend to believe, when we put spotlight on a certain situation, that people do take notice. The right people take notice, that's for sure. If you have any idea the people I was talking to this week off the air, major media folks, on another matter. But we brought Gordon Woods on the air. I'm sure no one's heard of him before my show. And just this week, he sends me a notice. Hey, look at this. My abuser charged for abusing me. They went after this guy all this time later. I wonder why. They went after this guy all this time later. 73 years old now. He founded this soccer club, this boys club, school, whatever it is, and abused all these kids. And then we start talking about it here on the Opera Report. I make a couple of phone calls behind the scenes. Hey, what do you know about this? Hey, can you give me a quote over there? I understand there's open case over there in Ireland. Can you help me out here and give me a quote from this yank from the States here? And somehow they get a link to the show. And then the next thing you know, people are being arrested 50 years later after they start their abusing for crime. Hey, but what do I know, right? What do I know? One day I'll be a big YouTuber. Right? One day. That needs more YouTube views. That's neat, right? I love you guys sometimes. I really do. Okay. But I am tired. I drove around all day long. We're trying to move. And I'm looking around all over Florida, Sarasota, St. Petersburg, Largo. All these wacky places they got out here. One crazy, one crazy town after the next. By the way, I'm getting these, now my Twitter and stuff is blowing up. I posted a link to the Larry Flynt FBI file, right? It's 322 pages. And I posted that in my Twitter, in my Patreon. And people said, I'm going to subscribe as soon as I get a chance. But the thing is, it's free. I put this up in the free section of Patreon. Anybody can see. Just click on it. So you go to Opperman Report Patreon, and what you're going to find there is the Larry Flynt, 322 pages. Now, I didn't get this. Vice got it for me. But I got it now. That's all that matters. Now I'm giving it to you for free. Okay? In between, doing all my other stuff. I woke up today, right? And right out of the box, and I'm working on this case, litigation, and I'm working for the defendant. And I get a call from a party to the case, being all rude with me and stuff like that. Just being, I'm trying to like negotiate along and shit. Well, listen, my client, this is all he wants, And you want something. He wants what he wants. Yeah, he wants, And the party on the other end of the line got all huffy with me, chuckling at me. The stupid head Opperman, right? The silly goose, right? You have no idea who you're messing with over here. And I clearly just have no idea. And so, this pisses me off, and I start digging through some of the paperwork, going back to, trying to reinforce my point here. And I discover, what do I discover? That one of the motions filed by the plaintiff in this case, he claimed was served on a certain date by mail, and then we have a copy of the mailing. It was 12 days later. So we're going to postpone that whole thing. We're going to throw out that whole hearing there, my friend. Okay, because that Opperman's an idiot. That Opperman's a silly goose. It's been a long day. Let's see, what else? Let's see. Let's pull up the notes. Let's do this like a professional radio show. Coming up after this, we got a couple of really good shows for you. Okay, once again, I can't help but amuse myself. We have Jimmy Fallon Gong. Okay, now he's a notorious Twitter guy, and if you don't know Jimmy Fallon Gong, he just started a podcast called Program to Chill. Last time I had him on, I joked around. I says, "Oh boy, you got a great podcast voice." I says, "Almost everybody I get on here is a guest. A month later, they got their own podcast." And we're out there to it. And what here it is. Less than 2 months later, the guy's starting a podcast. He does have a good voice for a podcast, and he does good research. Let's see how he podcasts. Jimmy Fallon Gong, and the name of his podcast will be Program to Chill. There will be a day will come, I predict, where everyone in the country will have a podcast, and no one will have time to listen to anybody else's podcast. So every podcast will have one listener, except for the Opperman Report. Okay? All right, because we got to figure it out. We're on AM/FM radio. Okay. So Jimmy Fallon Gong comes on, and we start talking about what is behind all of this, especially now lately, and everybody's talking about all this systemic organized pedophilia in high places and in the royalty and in Jimmy Savile and Jeffrey Epstein, all this kind of stuff. What is it they're doing, and what's driving them to do all this? And we come up with some theories based on some really good research by Mr. Fallon Gong about he kept mentioning this guy who was a protege of Aleister Crowley, and all of his beliefs and teachings. And I think we come to some decent conclusions. And then I was able to fill in some things he had not heard of, that had not thought of or considered. I was able to fill in by memory, because I've been talking about this stuff forever, before anybody else was even born. Half of these characters out there. The next one coming up, okay, you're going to love this, man, especially if you know the nuances of the show, okay? If you're a long-time listener, and it seems like a lot of the long-time listeners just kind of gave up on me. So, he's always complaining. He's fighting with his bank. He's fighting with the landlord. He's fighting he's goes on a rant for 2 hours about SunTrust Bank screwed him over. Well, guess what? Before we get into my next guest, SunTrust Bank really did screw me over. Remember, I was on here last week whining and complaining about how they screwed up. Well, it turns out that all of that big problem with the tech department and this one and that one had to get a hold of me, and they're investigating and they're deleting my old accounts and starting new ones. And then the branch manager's trying to tell me, well, it's because you created 2 accounts, that you went in there and caused all these problems. Well, guess what? I fixed the problem all on my own without freaking any help from SunTrust, or any hope of getting any help, or even any interest in of them helping me, of doing anything. They cannot call themselves a bank. They do not provide banking services. And when I'm done, I got some free time. I'm going after them big time. Okay, because I got to tell you something. They just cost me a lot of money. All right, we had applied for PPP, right, which is a federal payroll protection plan loan program, and all they needed to do was just add my business name to one of my accounts, and we would have been fine. DBA, blah blah blah, and we would have been done. But no, they don't. Oh, we have to create a new account for that. Okay, create the new account. I'm gonna do that. right? And then I said, well, you didn't do enough business this month, so you didn't generate a statement. Then I find out, no, a statement was generated. I can't log online and see my own statements because they screwed me up. They can't set me up online. So then we took too long and all that money's gone. So I really took a big hit. So there's a good time if you want to sign up to Patreon and support the show and doing all those yearly things. That would be great. Keep me afloat down here. Although I am getting a lot of good jobs. I'm getting a lot of stuff come across my desk. I had a huge payday fall into my lap this week, and some people are being difficult and not cooperating. We may have to twist a few arms before things are up on that one, okay? I can hint about that one a little bit for you. That's going to be major news, too, by the way. A lot of stuff I'm working on right now is going to be major news. But those who like the nuances of the show, only my old-time listeners, the old opera maniacs, who used to sit back and collect all the clues. I'm still throwing clues out there, guys. Don't think I'm not. Okay? And we'll be getting to some later on tonight. It's going to be some clues out there for you. The Warless was Paul. Okay? But I interviewed this guy. Damn, I forget his name. But his book is 30 Years in Undercover FBI. Right? And let me pull up his name and show him some respect. Because the guy is a hardworking guy. And he does, did a lot of work in his life. Let's see. If I just Ghost, G-H-O-S-T. Yep, looks like we can. Nope, can we? Here we go. He runs this PI company, too. So then when I first contacted him, his name is FBI Special Agent Retired Michael R. McGowan. And I contacted his website, his PI website. And I says, hey, I'd like to get Mr. McGowan on the show. And they come back with all these conditions. Well, he's doing this, he's doing that. Sly Stallone bought his book, and he's going to do a movie about it. And so you can't talk about this, you can't talk about that. Okay, no, sure, we won't talk about anything. We won't even talk. I'll just have him on the show. And we'll just sit there and swap recipes. We won't talk about anything. So it's an old retired FBI guy, and he does a lot of undercover operations, okay? And he taught me a lot of fascinating things, like the minute percentage of actual agents that work undercover. It's minute. It's mostly confidential informants, who bring up these cases and do the day-to-day work. But this guy actually worked undercover, 24 hours a day. El Chapo, a lot of stuff. But he goes on and on. We're not going to divulge our methods. We're not going to divulge our how we do things, And so, of course not. Of course not. But the guy can tell from my question, the pattern of my question, the man, right away he knows I took classes in interrogation. Okay, and he's an old guy, and I can hear him, getting more cautious as he talks to me. And if you listen carefully, guys, okay, there were certain things I wanted to get from this interview. I've told you in the past how I'll interview an obscure subject. People say, what the hell is Ed doing talking to this guy? Because I got one question that I want to get from him. And I went to this guy, I had some questions in my head, and I got those questions answered. And it wasn't until I got them all nice and comfy, cozy, and I started doing my cop laugh. Ha 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 ha. Like a bunch of cops that are all laughing about it. It wasn't until I got them all hypnotized by that that I lulled him into serenity there and got some answers I was looking for. So that's going to be a good interview, too. Don't let the initial pace, slow pace, scare you away. You got to hang in there. I got a method to my madness. So that's that with that stuff there. Okay? Now with the shows coming up. I think that's enough for you on that. Let's see what we're doing on time. Not so bad. Last week I had abandoned ship early. I regret to do that. It's the captain should go down with his ship every time. Not just once in a while. Right? Every week. I should go down with the ship. And I shall. Tonight I shall go down with the ship. Perhaps. Perhaps not. We'll see, though, right? Okay. All right. Okay. So we're going to do this one. Now, some news came out today about Matt Gaetz. Right? Matt Gaetz. Florida man. Down here in Florida. Right? Had a wild college life, this kid. Fraternity life, and then had a wild run, too, as a congressman. Just wild, man. There's pictures of this guy as a congressman trolling the high schools, sitting at the table of high school girls. He's posting them himself. This guy's let a trail of breadcrumbs. All right. Well, his buddy, what's his buddy's name? Let me pull this up real fast. Joel Greenberg. Just today, Joel Greenberg agreed to plead guilty to 6 counts out of the 30 counts he was charged with, right? And one of them is sex with a minor, okay? And sex trafficking a minor. So this guy's going to do 10 years mandatory. That's the deal he cut. This is the good deal he got. They dropped 24 charges out of this guy, 20-something 4 charges, right? I mean, he's got these 6. He's going to do 10 years, man, okay? So we know this guy is going to be singing against Matt Gaetz. There's no doubt about it. The nail is in the coffin. Now, I happen to know some other things. I've been talking about Matt Gaetz now for a year on this show. Go back a year ago when I was dropping hints about this guy. Okay? Did a whole show more recently about his shill of a fiancée. This woman he had. When meanwhile he's got this kid, Nestor, this little boy who he calls his son, staying at his home with him, okay? One thing after another with this character. Making fake IDs. What is this? The preoccupation with this character. We're good friends with Donald Trump, by the way. I wonder what they have in common. And Jeffrey Epstein, those types. I wonder what they have in common. What interest could it be? Probably sports. They all like to say sports. Anyway. There's some huge stuff coming about Matt Gaetz coming out right around the corner. A listener to the show tipped me off to it. I can't tell you what I know because it's not my story. It's their work. I'm offering to help out, do what I can, help them out in many ways, different ways. Some unwelcome ways. Okay, what are you going to do, right? But I challenge you to go back, okay? You know, I did an appearance recently on Sean Atwood. Sean Atwood's this interesting character that was on my show years ago. He wrote a couple of books. He wrote a book about the Mena, Arkansas, and Barry Seal, and he wrote a book about his time in prison with Sheriff Arpaio. So I had him on the show a few times. An interesting guy. We got along good. He used to be a former ecstasy smuggler, and I think he was involved with Gravano down there in Arizona, even though he's from England or something. I think right now, today, he lives in England. Well, more recently, he started his own YouTube channel, and he's gotten hooked up with people like David Icke, and things like that. So he's gotten a lot of traffic to his channel. Okay, in fact, I did 2 interviews with him there. One has like 50,000 views, and one has like 30,000 views. Just only like 5 days old has 30,000 views. If you go there, and by the way, if you go there, read the freaking comments. Everybody, they call me a Jew. He's a Jew. This guy's a Jew. Yeah, all this crazy stuff. Then the other one, he's on ADHD and he can't sit still in his chair. And look at this guy, he's laughing about people being raped. All this crazy, and people, they couldn't follow the story. I went back, I listened to it twice. If you can't follow that story, I talk about the Hunter Biden laptop. If you can't follow that story, you're an imbecile. But he knows my associations with the Epstein case intimately, because I went on there, I told him all about it. And, afterwards, years afterwards. And, he has been on the show more recently. And he says, I'd like to have you come back and talk about Jeffrey Epstein and Maxwell. And I'm like, Maxwell. And I says, dude, everybody's talking about it now. I talked about Jeffrey Epstein because nobody heard about him. Nobody knew the story. Nobody knew who he was. That's why I started reporting on Jeffrey Epstein. Not because I turned on YouTube and everybody was talking about him. When I did the first radio show about Jeffrey Epstein, and the first YouTube, broadcast on Jeffrey Epstein, it was because I couldn't find a guest. I could not find a guest to come on the show. Luckily, Robert Morrow knew about the story. And at the time he came on, and his opinions about the story are 100% in reverse as they were at the time. Although he was offended by the pedophilia. But he was defending Trump at the time, back then, the first interview, and he no longer does. So my point is, though, okay, I started talking about Jeffrey Epstein because nobody knew about Jeffrey Epstein. And that's why now, when Sean asked me, come back and talk about Jeffrey Epstein, I says, no, man, I'm talking about Matt Gaetz. I've been talking about Matt Gaetz before anybody. Okay, and now Matt Gaetz is all over the freaking news. So trust me on what I'm doing for you guys. Everyone knows I'm out in front on everything, you know. I'm way out in front, but I'm also not irresponsible. So, like, I got some great information on Gaetz right now. I would love to tell you. Okay, but by the way, too, after it's published, it's going to be broken on the radio here first. Okay, how's that? I got a promise for that. I promise I'm going to collect on it. They try and back out. Okay, I got to deal with these guys. But what do you call it? So yeah, listen, trust me. I know I'm going to bring the Gaetz stuff first, okay? And just sit tight with me there and help me out. And subscribe to the Patreon there to keep me alive, keep me in watery gruel to keep this show going. All right, we'll be right back after these messages. And now a word from our sponsors. The Opperman Report is brought to you by Aquadam.net. You can give them a call at 707-764-2119. A flooded home is never easy to deal with. You're left with the mess to clean up, the insurance companies to deal with, and not to mention all the memories, the precious memories that are lost in the flood. You can never replace those. And Aquadam can be a tool in your arsenal to protect your home and property from the floodwaters. The cofferdam is filled with water to control water and is reusable as long as it's taken care of. It can protect your home or business from rising floodwaters like a dam, but without the beavers. It can also be used in construction. If you need an area to be dewatered, an Aquadam can do the job. An Aquadam was used at SeaWorld in Orlando for the Mako roller coaster ride during the coaster's construction by dewatering the work area. An Aquadam is now dewatering the work area at San Antonio SeaWorld for their newest roller coaster ride. An Aquadam has been used in many construction projects all around the U.S. and all around the world. Now give Aquadam a call, 707-764-2119. You can look them up online at aquadam.net. You can find them on Facebook at Aquadam Inc. You call them up, you email them, you tell them Ed Opperman sent you, and they're going to take 10% off the price. Aquadam.net, 707-764-2119. If you find yourself in need of legal representation, it can be a very stressful time in your life. In my career, I have dealt with thousands of lawyers, I've dealt with thousands of law firms, and I can confidently recommend to you Keith M. Davidson at kmdlaw.com. Available 24 hours, 7 days a week. Just log into kmdlaw.com. That's kmdlaw.com. Or you can call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. That's 833-4KMD-LAW. Personal injury, wrongful death, STDs, sexual assault, car accidents. They handle it all efficiently and professionally. It doesn't matter how imposing the opposition may be, because the team at kmdlaw.com are battle-tested and fierce. They will not stop until justice prevails. Go to kmdlaw.com or call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. If you're in for the fight of your life, stop screwing around and contact KMD Law.
Before Epstein was the Franklin cover-up. Before that, the Finders. And long before that, the Cleveland street scandal. Pedogate Primer is a concise intro and overview of a growing child abuse epidemic worldwide. It features shocking instances of institutionalized and organizational pedophilia throughout history. Churches, cults, the world of arts and entertainment, the government, NGOs, charities, and major corporations are all complicit or culprits in many instances. Pedogate Primer delves into material that for many may seem like the stuff of conspiracy theories. For this reason, the book draws on academic resources, declassified documents, and other reliable sources, and steers clear of conjecture. Such shocking true stories need no embellishment.
It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is Investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay, welcome back to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, Private Investigator Ed Opperman. Hey, don't forget, you can find me at Twitter and Instagram at Opperman Report. Okay, you can find me there. And I post a lot of good stuff. On my Instagram, I like to post stuff that I'm cooking up. You know, I just posted recently a picture of me out in front of Comet Ping Pong. People seem to like that, think that was funny. And Twitter, I always put up all my shows go on Twitter. All the repeats go on Twitter. And the new stuff I just did about the Larry Flint, what's that called? The Larry Flint FBI files. You can find there the link there to my Patreon. There is on Twitter. Okay, now the name of tonight's show is what? What's it called? It's called Crossing Guards. Oh, no, it's called Don't Cross Me. I blew it already. It's called Don't Cross Me. All right? Now, for some reason, I have this insane hatred for crossing guards, for school crossing guards. It's just imagine, you see these people, they're like usually retirees. They work, a couple hours a week. They make like $1,500 a month doing that job. They make nothing. And they got to deal with traffic whizzing by them and stuff like that. But there's just something about them, man. This attitude they have. You give these people a whistle and a yellow vest and a sign that says stop, and they think they're God Almighty. Okay? And there was one occasion, all right, where when Vic was about 5 years old, at one point, me and her, we got into bike riding, and we would ride our bikes for hours and hours every day. When we would go to the pool to go swim, we'd ride our bikes. We'd go to Chuck E. Cheese, we'd ride our bikes. And so, we would ride, and we would cross the street with our bikes, riding our bikes on the sidewalk and the bike lanes, whatever. Okay? It's a natural occurrence. Something we did all the time, without event. Okay? Without any occurrences, without any problems of significance. And we used to have to go by this rec center, and there was a school all the way down at the corner. And it always bugs me, too. Okay, how these crossing guards, how they cross the adults. Like the adults have to, like, if I'm an adult and the light turns green and the little light goes on where it shows the little man walking, that's a signal that it's okay for you to cross the street. I'm able to do that if I'm an adult. Why can't I do that? Of course I can. But for some reason, if this is near a school, I need a little old man or a little old lady to walk me across the street and chat me up and talk to me have a little conversation as we go along. Cars are waiting. People trying to run businesses, stuff like that. Very important private investigators are off trying to get some work done. Can't get it done. And why is that? Because this crossing guard wants to take up and slow down traffic and business. Okay, the crossing guards are the enemy of everyone involved. All right? I know, it sounds cruel. I can hear some people when I say, Ed, I'm with you most of the time, but tonight you're being harsh. Okay? Give the crossing guards a break. But no, I'm going to tell you, I won't. I'm going to tell you why. Okay, one time, me and Vic, it was around school time, but she was out of school, whatever, and for some reason, this crossing guards were crossing people, and we're going down our normal bike trail path that we take every day. And we get to the light there, the lights, we got the walk sign when we're allowed to go, and when we're like cars, vehicles, bicycles are vehicles, we had our client, Byron Williams, killed by the police because he didn't have a headlight on his bike, which is a vehicle. They were allowed to stop him and chase him down, push their knees down on his back while he screams, I can't breathe, I can't breathe, I can't breathe, until he dies. So we can look at that and see what bicycles are motor vehicles, right? Or at least vehicles, pedovehicles, as they can call them. So we're crossing the street, and this crossing guard, this little old man, starts yelling at me, saying, you gotta walk him, you gotta walk him, you gotta walk him. And I says, what are you talking about? He goes, you gotta get off the bike, and you gotta walk the bike. I says, no, I don't. What are you talking about? You have no arrest authority over me to make me do anything in the world. Okay? He goes, well, then I'm not gonna cross you. I says, what? He goes, I'm not going to cross you. And he takes his crossing sign and he puts it down, okay? Now, next thing, what's he going to do? Start waving cars into me to crash into me? I got the right of way here. I got the little man walking thing saying I could walk. All right? So that's why I say I don't like crossing guards. Okay, but I also say don't cross me. Okay, let's not amuse ourselves here. Okay? Also, you can't cross me. Okay? Because it ends up bad for you if you do. It's funny. Vic always says this thing. She goes, Dad, you're all upset about this problem. You're all upset about SunTrust Bank or whatever is screwing you over. But you know what's going to happen. You're going to get on the phone. You're going to yell at the right people. You're going to see how smart you are. You're going to figure out the problem and, straighten everything out and put them in their places. And she's right, but I don't want to. I don't want to have to fight the world over every little thing. Because a SunTrust gets SunTrust puts in the wrong EIN number, employer identification number, okay? And then I have to be told, oh, it's this computer glitch, it's this, it's that. When all we had to do is just try and verify the information. And we would be done. In fact, my first phone call to them said, hey, when I tried to create this, it said that my information was wrong. I have the right information, so your information must be wrong. Can we fix that? Oh, no, that's not it. They're shouting me down, talking over me. Well, anyway, I fixed the problem myself. But anyway, the point of the matter is, don't cross me. Don't cross me. And I'm going to tell you a little story. I've been getting emails and phone calls and messages on YouTube and Twitter and Facebook and Spreaker, or comments everywhere about the big new fancy Son of Sam documentary that came out. Okay? Now, I haven't watched it yet. A nice, friendly listener who listens to my show sent me the links that I can listen for free. Even though I can watch it for free, even though we have a Netflix password around here someplace. I just don't quite know where it is or how to access it. Okay, I'm not a big Netflixer, but what do you call it? But I have it. I'm gonna watch it. I've heard a lot about it. I'm a member of the Maury Terry group on Facebook, which is a private group. Don't come to me for access. Okay, if you want to come to me for access, I'll let you in. I can get you in, not through me, but I can get you to the right people. Now, I've known about this project for a long time, all right? And I've known about the Son of Sam case for a long time. By the way, when I did the first radio show about Roy Raiden and the Cotton Club murders, you could type in Roy Raiden on Google and YouTube. There was nothing, okay? Did the first radio show about Roy Raiden. If you don't know who Roy Raiden was, he was a member of the Protestant Church. He ran Roy Raiden's vaudeville show. He lived in the Hamptons on the beach, $1 million mansion. I think it was the biggest mansion in the Hamptons. And he would be seen walking down in the middle of the street with a cane and a robe, and stuff like that, a coke dealer. And it's a Roy Raiden vaudeville show where he would take people like Sherman Hemsley and the old, washed up stars, Shecky Green, those kind of guys, and take them on the road. And they would do a vaudeville show on the road, on a bus, from town to town. Okay, and I'm a member, too, of the Roy Raiden vaudeville group, too. I snuck into that one, too, as well. All right, just like I snuck into the West Memphis Street Friends group, okay, where you had to be a friend of the West Memphis Street to get into that group. Snuck in there, too. Instead of a short show today, we maybe do a long show. Because the Roy Raiden vaudeville show, what would happen is, they would have a phone center, right? Or I guess maybe they could just go to a motel room with a bunch of phones, whatever, traveling across the country, these sweaty guys, Tiny Tim was part of this road show, and he showed up at a friend of mine's wedding with a 15-year-old girl. He was going to be a dancer at the show. Oh, I'm going to be a dancer. Okay? This vaudeville show. So they would call around and say, hey, we're putting on a road show. We're putting on a vaudeville show in your town. They'd call a restaurant or a pizzeria or something like that. And we want you to sponsor us and buy tickets. It's for the local police benevolence association. And if the guy says, oh, of course I'll support. Whatever, buys the tickets or whatever. Fine. And if not, they would show up at the guy's business, his restaurant, and they'd bring like one of the stars. Say, hey, we're here to deliver your tickets and take pictures with you. So you can put a picture of us on the wall. And the guy would say, no, I don't want your tickets. What are you talking about? We say, sometimes they buy the tickets, they get a little more pressure. But sometimes they wouldn't buy the tickets. And if they didn't buy the tickets, the next night, the windows broke on the restaurant or the bar or the pizzeria. They had broken windows. And the guy calls the police. Hey, Officer Krumke, my windows are broken by this vaudeville show. And he's, oh, yeah, they're supporting us on the police. That's a good cause. You should have supported them. Okay? And then you would see pictures, and you could, the pictures are, I think, available. Where all the cops in the audience of the vaudeville show drinking along with the stars and the events and the strippers and the dancers sitting on their laps and stuff like that. A good old time was had by all. Let's put it that way. So I'm the first guy that we got tuned into Roy Raiden and who he was. And it was because Tiny Tim mentioned his name to me personally down there at Yippee headquarters. That's how I first heard the name Roy Raiden and started looking into the death of Roy Raiden, which involved Robert Evans and some hitmen that were the employee of bodyguards for Larry Flint. See how the show takes a trip around the world and ends up where it started? It's called an arch in your storytelling. Now, I'm not an expert on Son of Sam. I know a lot about the Son of Sam. I know a lot about the Protestant Church, but I'm by no means an expert and authority. As a matter of fact, the people in the Maury Terry group on Facebook, I would say that 90% of them know more than me. Today, maybe not 10 years ago, 15 years ago, but today they all do. I've done my own work on it. I've had my own guests that I've had on the show here. And so I was a person, since I've done so many radio shows, topics surrounding that, about the Arliss Perry murders, all the murders, all that stuff, that the producers and directors of this good old Netflix series right now on the Son of Sam came to me and says, Ed, we want to interview you. We want to interview you for our series. And we're very interested in your material. Can you point us to the best work you've done about this? So, and they came to me through a friend. So I said, okay, sure, I'd love to help you. Okay? I'm a nice guy. I like to help people. And this is a topic that interests me. And we want to interest you about, and we want to interview you about Ted Gunderson and what you know about Maury Terry. And I'm thinking about back of my head, well, what I have to say about this people is not that nice, But still, I provided them all the stuff from my member section. I went and I searched out my own shows. They could have searched out and used Google to find my shows just the same exact way I did. I gave them about 10, 15 hours of work, providing them with material. And then I agreed to do an interview with them, back and forth in emails. It's going to be this day at exactly 5:05, Eastern Standard Time, because these media types love to schedule phone calls. Like it's the most important thing in the world, and then they're all late for it, and they're sitting back all lazy on the Zoom call. It's pathetic. It's so obnoxious with these people. So the day before this telephone interview, I get an email with a non-disclosure agreement, an NDA, and I read it. I says, I'm not signing this. These guys are out of their mind. They're out of their mind. And basically what it said in one of the paragraphs buried in there was that anything I said to them became their property. Any words that leave my mouth and touch their ears, they own and they can sell. And I'd get in trouble if I sold it. Imagine that. Imagine the gall. So they contact me back, hey, Ed, you haven't signed the NDA. I says, yeah, I'm not signing that. What are you out of your mind? I says, I'm not signing that. I go, why not? I says, well, it says, you'll own everything I say. I don't want to give you ownership of everything. Well, when I work my own interviews, I'm going to give you ownership of it? I'm not doing that. Oh, no, Ed, don't worry. There's another clause in there if it says this. I said, okay, fine. Then we don't need the NDA, right? Because I'm a private investigator. People confide in me all day long, and I keep their secrets. Okay, I don't try and bet a profit off of it. Everything you can say about me, I don't profit off of other people's misery and other people's work. Okay, someone comes to me as a client, I don't go out and trade money off of it. Okay. So that was my experience with these characters. Now, what was my experience? And by the way, too, there's some stuff in this documentary. One makes allegations about a friend of mine, which I find to be misinformed. And then there's at the end, some slights against Maury Terry. Oh, I'm not even going to repeat them, but there's some offensive material about Mr. Terry and his work and his personal life. Okay? Nothing outrageous, but just some stuff. So I'll say this. Maury Terry never spoke to me once. Never acknowledged me once. Okay? I begged him to come on the show. I found out his top secret email because I was in an email loop that he was in. I went to him many times. I sent people to him to help his investigation. Okay? That I know he talked to, and he wasn't appreciative to me, but he was appreciative to them. Okay? But he considered the people I sent him advanced his work. But for some reason, he didn't like me. Okay? He didn't like me, and he wouldn't cooperate with me. I believe he sabotaged some potential interviews I had with people when I mentioned his name, and I believe they went to him, and he says, no, don't bother that up. We were antagonists on his board that he would post on anonymously, and I left that when he was running that board, and his people were running that board. I left it, that Facebook group, in a big huff one night, because I most certain things. But I'll say this, whatever my personal problems with Maury Terry were, okay, and I believe it was because he feels that he owned that case. He owned that investigation. He did the work, and he owns it, and it was his. And I respect that. I respect that 100%. I never claimed to own that case, or would be a pawn on his chessboard. Okay, that man did the work in that case. There's no, and when it was at a risky time to do it, when people were getting killed. Okay. When I came along, started talking about it, and making waves for myself, and exposing things too, these people know who I am, So I'll say this. I haven't seen the documentary series. Some people think it's good. I know, and by the way, I would say that all the good that they have is from Maury Terry's work that was turned over to this group, who did the work, who put the film out. They have all his archives. They have all his research. They have all his material. And I believe they got it for free. Don't quote me on that, but I believe they got it for free, if I recall the back talk and backroom gossip about this case. My experience with them was less than pleasant. The very least, at the very least, man, okay, that for this series, there should be a thanks Ed Opperman credit at the end that I can put on IMDb. From what I understand, there isn't one. Okay, I haven't looked for one, but from what I understand, there isn't one. And if I was a ball buster, I got a really powerful Hollywood attorney that works, that I work for. And I can make trouble for these guys. We have a chain of emails, all this material this guy sends you. You don't even send him give him a thank you credit. Come on, and we can put pressure on these guys. But anyway, I'm so tired. That's my deal on this Netflix documentary. I don't think they were cool with me. I don't think they were cool with Maury Terry. I don't think Maury Terry was cool with me. Okay, but I'm fine with that because I respect his work. And I think he got, as far as, especially during his early life, I think he did rock solid work. There are a couple of little things we disagree on, about the O.J. Simpson case. He did good work on the O.J. Simpson case too, but we have different opinions on that. And I believe mine is more direct knowledge, firsthand knowledge, and things that came out after his involvement in that. And then the Jeff McDonald case, which again I think he missed some things and he relied too much on Ted Gunderson. But anyway, there's all that, okay? But I would give Maury Terry, The Ultimate Evil, a double thumbs up. And this documentary film, I would recommend you watch it. But keep in mind what I just said to you as far as that goes. And as far as trying to cross me, it's a bad idea. Okay. Let's see. Do I want to end this show on this Israeli-Palestinian conflict going on right now? I kind of think I do, because it's a lone voice out there in the media. It's a lone voice out there that can have a rational view of what's going on in occupied Palestine. Okay. A lot of people throw around the expression Zionist this and Zionist that when they're talking about Jew hate. There's the Zionist conspiracy, QAnon, the Zionist, just throwing the word Zionist in there. The Zionist Agenda 21, yeah. And I was even talking about this a couple of weeks back, how I was trolling this guy via Twitter instant message. And he attached the word Zionist to something ridiculous, like BLM or something. Just something ridiculous. And I said to him, not every Jew is a Zionist, and not every Zionist is a Jew. And he comes out, Ed, I know that, Ed. I know that 100%. There are good Jews, and there are good non-Jews. I have no problem with the Jewish race. It's Zionists that I have a problem with. And I went back to him and I said, not every Israeli is a Zionist. Not every Israeli is a Jew, and not every Israeli is a Zionist. He said, I know that, Ed. They're good Israelis. I know that, Ed. I'm not talking about it. I'm talking about international Zionism. And then so that night, I'm reeling them in. And I said, well, not every Jew that lives in Israel that believes in a Jewish state is a Zionist. And he goes, Ed, I know that, Ed. I'm trying to tell you, I know that. What do you mean? Well, that's the exact definition of Zionism. So you want a Jewish state in the Middle East. That is what Zionism means. That you want a state of Israel run by Jews in the Middle East. That's what it means. If you're anti-Zionist, or if you're not a Zionist, that means you don't want that Jewish state to exist. Now, there was a time when this was an option. The Jews were just settling over there. The Israelis were just settling, starting things out. Ben Gurion, all that kind of stuff. And, it was a legitimate fight to keep them out. They were being pushed aside, and, hegemony, the Palestinians being pushed away out of their land, which was a thriving land at the time, by the way, before it got bombed into rubble. But what do we do now, man? That's like 60, 70 years ago, man. What do we do now? There's people with grandkids that were born there now. We're going to uproot them and take them away just because their grandparents were crazy and went to another country and occupied it? We can't do that. It's there now. Okay, what we can do is, first of all, make it an even fight. Stop supporting and give them $3 million a day. They got free health care over there from our aid, and we have no health care here. Free college over there. We got a free college here. Give me a break. We're funding that country. The country couldn't exist without us at this point, even though it's a very rich country. And by the way, too, Israel doesn't give a lot of aid to other countries. Like even Cuba and poor countries, give aid to other countries when they're in trouble. Israel does very little. Plus, there's I think it was 200 charities that give money to Israel, and it's a rich country. But none of that has to do with this current conflict, which is the Israelis pushing and evicting people from their homes and trying to remove Arabs and replace them by Jews. This is apartheid. This is occupation. This is a well-funded military that's funded by the United States of America at our own cost and expense. That, by the way, the IDF kills 3 kids a day. These aren't like obscure facts, that you can't look up and you can't find. They're very hard to find on alternative media because most are just right-wing nuts, and even the anti-Semites don't take as much time to really look into the facts of all this. It's just Jew hate, they just hate Jews, but they hate Arabs too. So what are you going to do? I was saying to a friend of mine, we were in a car today, and we were driving through a school zone. 20 miles an hour, and there's a fire truck coming down past us. And I said, well, here you have a fire truck that's allowed to exceed the speed limit, and you have a school zone with 20 miles an hour to protect little children. Who wins? Does the fire truck speed through the school zone, endangering little children, or does it slow down and the people in the fire die? You know what I mean? So anyway, what do you do, man? If you got a group that hates both Jews and Arabs, who wins? The fire truck or the school zone? I say it's a tie. Anyway, we're out of time. I'm exhausted. I forgot to set up my finish roll of ads, which I will do right now. As I speak to you, and I'll do it seamlessly. You won't even know that I'm doing this right now. You won't even know that I'm killing time. You really don't notice things until you're in the radio biz. You notice that the host, that their guest didn't show up, or something went wrong technically, and they're just trying to kill time and fill up time. Oh, God, I still got to play these 2 other shows tonight. I'm exhausted. But listen, thank you so much for joining us on tonight on the Opperman Report. You can find me on Patreon on the Opperman Report. I'm on Opperman Report at Instagram and Twitter. There's an Opperman Report Facebook page that you can go there and follow. And then I post things on there and new shows come up. I play repeats every single night. We're on AM/FM radio in 150 cities now. How do you like that? 100? Just imagine, man, just a few short years ago, I was on one little internet station, 150 cities. And, I could pick up right now. I got 2 packages of stations I could pick up right now, tonight, right after the show. Just a couple of clicks, I'm on there. That so many people would kill to be on one of these little stations. But I'm the luckiest man in the world. I get to talk to my listeners. I've made so many friends. We're gaining. Oh, look at it, man. I don't want to brag and take credit, but we're getting people thrown in prison, getting people charged with crimes from 50 years ago. Opperman Report. All right, boys and girls. Love you so much. Don't forget our Patreon. If you could sign up and do a year, that would be a big help right now because things are tough. Things are tough right now, okay? All right, guys. I'll talk to you soon. Bye. And now a word from our sponsors.
Before Epstein was the Franklin cover-up. Before that, the Finders. And long before that, the Cleveland Street Scandal. Pedogate Primer is a concise intro and overview of a growing child abuse epidemic worldwide. It features shocking instances of institutionalized and organizational pedophilia throughout history. Churches, cults, the world of arts and entertainment, the government, NGOs, charities, and major corporations are all complicit or culprits in many instances. Pedogate Primer delves into material that for many may seem like the stuff of conspiracy theories. For this reason, the book draws on academic resources, declassified documents, and other reliable sources, and steers clear of conjecture. Such shocking, true stories need no embellishment.
If you find yourself in need of legal representation, it can be a very stressful time in your life. In my career, I have dealt with thousands of lawyers, I've dealt with thousands of law firms, and I can confidently recommend to you Keith M. Davidson at kmdlaw.com. Available 24 hours, 7 days a week. Just log into kmdlaw.com. That's kmdlaw.com. Or you can call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. That's 833-4KMD-LAW. Personal injury, wrongful death, STDs, sexual assault, car accidents, they handle it all efficiently and professionally. It doesn't matter how imposing the opposition may be, because the team at kmdlaw.com are battle-tested and fierce. They will not stop until justice prevails. Go to kmdlaw.com or call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. If you're in for the fight of your life, stop screwing around and contact KMD Law. The Opperman Report is brought to you by Aquadam.net. You can give them a call at 707-764-2119. A flooded home is never easy to deal with. You're left with the mess to clean up, the insurance companies to deal with, and not to mention all the memories, the precious memories that are lost in the flood. You can never replace those. And Aquadam can be a tool in your arsenal to protect your home and property from the floodwaters. The cofferdam is filled with water to control water and is reusable as long as it's taken care of. It can protect your home or business from rising floodwaters like a dam, but without the beavers. It can also be used in construction. If you need an area to be dewatered, an Aquadam can do the job. An Aquadam was used at SeaWorld in Orlando for the Mako roller coaster ride during the coaster's construction by dewatering the work area. An Aquadam is now dewatering the work area at San Antonio SeaWorld for their newest roller coaster ride. An Aquadam has been used in many construction projects all around the U.S. and all around the world. Now give Aquadam a call, 707-764-2119. You can look them up online at aquadam.net. You can find them on Facebook at Aquadam Inc. You call them up, you email them, you tell them Ed Opperman sent you, and they're going to take 10% off the price. Aquadam.net, 707-764-2119.